Jesus. Just want to say first, thank you, Pastor Joe and Cindy, for being faithful with what the Lord has given you, and for just seeking Him with all your heart. You got some big decisions ahead, and the Lord already knows what you're gonna do. So rest assured that His mercy is abounding. And so He's made a way for your decisions. So go into that with a joyous heart and enthusiasm. And I see you too stepping into prayer of declaration. That when Jesus prayed for things, he didn't really ask God, would you do this? He said it as if it was already done. And that kind of powerful faith I just see pouring out of you too. So I look forward to what He has in store for us. I wanted to share a message, testimony on tithing. And I love the word testimony. It's used a couple different ways. You know, as scientifically, we test things by doing them again. If you can repeat a process and get the same result, you know that it's true. In the court of law, we use testimonies, and you need two or more to affirm that something is true. And the Bible is full of testimonies of what God does, His character. And I love His creativeness, though, because He never seems to do the exact same thing the same way twice, but still manages to get miraculous results. And so the message that came to mind is the widow's offering from Mark 12:41, if you want to read along with me. I have it marked here by this handy little new car scent tree. I asked Sade to mark for me on the way here, and she was going to fold the corner of the page, and I'm like, no, you got to respect the author. So it's like, find something. And she pulled this out of the car. So now every time I open my Bible, I get the fragrant aroma of heaven in the form of new car scent, and I'm reminded of Christmas trees or Christmas trees. So thank you for blessing this blessed book. Now, I grew up in a home where God wasn't allowed in. And if you've ever experienced a place where God's not allowed in, God does respect our free will, but the devil doesn't. So if we don't let God in, it leaves room for the devil to do his will. And growing up was very chaotic, conflicting. There are all sorts of mental health problems in the house. I could go on and on, but a lot of the conflict revolved around money. Thanks, worship team. You guys just heavenly. And I grew up with a lot of negative beliefs around money. I believed that in every business transaction, there's a winner and a loser. I believe there's never enough to go around, that money makes people greedy. And I could go on, and I encourage you today, make a journal, a list. What do I believe about money right now? And then cross-check it with what the Lord says about money, because I think about a fifth of this book talks about money. And the world encourages us not to. And what we don't talk about doesn't get fixed. It stays in the darkness. So we are healthier when we do talk about money. And especially when we seek the Lord's guidance on how to use it. So the first time that I started going to church, because I wanted to, I was about 28 years old. And it was that last place that I looked. I wanted to get out of the house when I was young, so I enlisted in the Marines when I was 18. Simplify. This was during the early parts of the Iraq War, so as a combat engineer, I had the opportunity to fight in Fallujah for the Operation Vigilant Resolve, and it's an honor. Thank you. And I came out of the Marine Corps with a lot of issues, a lot of problems. And I didn't want to admit that they were there. Pride, avoidance, whatever, doesn't really matter. I thought the best solution would be to just forget about it all. I thought I can forget about it, move on. I made plans to go to school. I wanted to study physical therapy, be a doctor. I had this great job working nights and weekends as a bouncer at a strip club. I thought that was just had the rest of my life planned out. This is how I wanted to go. And then about a month after getting out of the service, I got blindsided by a deer riding my motorcycle one day. Did a Superman move, landed headfirst at about 55 miles an hour, woke up and had no idea who I was, where I was at. He literally made me lie down in a green pasture. And from that point on, my life just spiraled out of control with the brain damage and all the trauma that I didn't even know was there. I was really impulsive, made a lot of bad decisions, didn't have any kind of foundation of wisdom. And so over the course of 7 years, I had a child, did not have the means to provide for him, relied on his mother to make all the decisions. I was working 3 jobs. I was a stripper on the nights and weekends. That gave me the opportunity to drink and party and have fun. I would wake up early in the mornings, do personal training. Then I would go manage a gym equipment dealership for 8 hours during the day. And then I would go back, do some more personal training. And in spite of having 3 jobs and slaving away, just burning myself out, I was always broke. I didn't know how to spend my money, never had enough, wasted it on stupid things, drugs, alcohol. Yeah, it sucked. I was wearing myself out, and I got desperate, so I went to church. Hallelujah. They let me in. And I did not catch on fire when I walked through the door. So the first 2 times I went, the tithing bucket came around, which was a really awkward moment for me, and I kind of shamefully hid my head and passed it along. But on the 3rd time, they shared this message from Mark 12:41, and it really touched me. I'm going to read it now for you. I'm in the New International Version. So, little backstory. At the time, especially, and even today, people like to make a show out of giving money and being generous. A lot of folks tend to want people to see them being generous. Jesus tells us that they have their reward, and when we give generously in secret, our reward is Him, when we seek Him and intimately. So there's this offering going on at the temple, and these people are like doing money splashes with these gold coins, making a big show out of how awesome they are because they have all this extra money that they can give. And Jesus is sitting down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. So he's watching this big show go on. Many rich people threw in large amounts of money, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, and I quote, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on." I don't know why the idea of this woman being a widow, the heartbreak she was in, being desperate, and just giving it all to God, it really moved me and still moves me today. And I felt that, so I did a quick little check on my finances. I looked in my bank account, I had some transactions pending that were going to put me in the negative. I opened up my wallet, I had a $10 bill, had no savings, no investments, anything like that. So I literally had less than $10 if you count the pending stuff. But I thought, you know what, God, this money is not doing me any good. in my hands. I can't do anything good with it. So I'm just going to give it to you. And I put that last $10 in there. I left church that day feeling pretty good. And feeling pretty good was a very uncomfortable way to feel at the time. And so over the course of a few days, I started seeking conversation with God, which was something that I wasn't too sure about. I was always told God doesn't talk to people. But I felt him moving and doing something. And I got super depressed one day, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, who would even want to be my friend right now? Like, I'm such a miserable person. And then I had this image of Jesus pop up in my head, and I see him on the cross, covered in blood, with this crown of thorns, people mocking him. I'm thinking, what a poor soul. But he would be my friend right now. I felt moved by his sacrifice, and I thought that's the type of friend that I want to have. That's the type of person that I want to be. And he became my hero that day. And I felt the Lord start to talk to me. And I started going through these rapid changes of being overwhelmingly joyous and at the same time feeling totally unworthy and worthless. And I appeared to be going crazy. But I also wanted to share this with the people that I knew. And I hadn't read that when the Spirit of the Lord comes on you, members of your own household will become your own worst enemy. So as I started trying to share this good news with them, that you can have a conversation with God that'll talk to you, people started to think that I was going crazy. So much, in fact, that they actually locked me up in a psychiatric ward twice. And the whole time, God's telling me, like, don't worry about this. I'm making this work. I'm going to free you financially. You're going to follow me. You're going to go out west. You're going to learn how to make movies, do all this cool stuff that you wanted to do when you're a kid, but didn't think it was possible. So a few months go by, and my life's just falling apart. I'm losing my jobs, clients. My family's constantly harassing me, telling me that I'm crazy. I got doctors putting me on all these meds that just make me horribly depressed and just want to die. And then I wake up one day, check my bank account, and I had $42,000 sitting in it. It was more money than I've ever had in my life. And it turned out that all that stuff that had happened caused the VA to give me a 100% disability claim with a year of back pay. So I was financially free. And now 7 years later, through a lot of therapy, a lot of friends, God putting the right people in my life, the right organizations, spending time at Volunteers of America, Veterans Village in San Diego, 2 rehab clinics, God has worked a miracle. And now I'm in my junior year at a pretty good film school. I'm going to be graduating with a BFA debt-free. Got a wonderful lady right there who's incredibly supportive and encouraging. And I have had the opportunity to see her be diligent with the vision that the Lord's given her, and she's been pressing into him and trusting him with her finances. And I see there's a big testimony coming out of that here soon. She's about to get some big breakthrough. So I just want to encourage you. God gives us 2 opportunities that I know of, at least, to test him. 1, we can test him with his good and perfect will for our lives. 2, we can test him with our finances. And when we do that, he gives it back to us, pressed down, shaken, overpouring. And I would much rather have 90% of my finances be blessed than 100% of my finances unblessed. So test him, take a chance, throw in some prayer with that. God bless. I am finished.